Longplay 4K Review, Painkiller Black Edition. We're looking at a hit, gentlemen. Or, if you want, a blockbuster. And it's from such a developer-publisher connection that it's impossible to believe in such a thing. Dreamcatcher has never published a first-person shooter, and Pulse have never made a game that could break the boundaries of the definition of just good. But, it happened. They did. Heaven's got a hitman. Gamers got a painkiller. The best meaty, dumb, bloody, straight-up shooter since Doom. Sam? Are you serious? The ambitions of People Can Fly's studio staff are denoted in its name. Park authors, who once worked on Gorky 17, Robo-Rumble and a number of other projects, without a shadow of embarrassment declared in dozens of interviews about their intention to borrow everything delicious from Doom and Quake, the best shooters of its software. Pulse have fulfilled their promise, having overtaken Croats on all parameters. The spirit of those times is back. Knocking on heaven's door. Daniel Garner was stuck between heaven and hell when he and his wife got into a car accident. Alas, he was unable to follow his wife to paradise. Some unfinished business interfered. The messenger of light Samael met Garner and charged him with a simple task: to prevent the forces of evil represented by 4 generals led by Lucifer himself from doing something terrible. After accomplishing the mission, the hero will be able to reunite with his wife and live happily until the end of the world never comes. We have already seen a similar plot in the third-rate TPS action game Archangel, but, fortunately, the similarity ends there. The story in Painkiller is presented in strictly dosed portions, in the form of poorly rendered video inserts between chapters, which here, according to the number of the main opponents, are exactly 5. You can freely skip all the videos, because they don't contain any useful information for the passage, and they are made obviously for a dick. Between levels there is no intrigue at all, so forget about the scenario, as if it never existed. Blood simple. 24 levels are filled to the top with blood and brutality. You won't find Postal's blackness in Painkiller, but you will be able to admire the walls splattered with corn syrup and look at the remains, which will be covered with especially meaty levels. And if you type the magic words "keep bodies" and "keep decals" in the console, you'll feel what it's like to walk on the battlefield smacking of blood. There are no psychedelic creatures Alakis, Psycho Circus and primitive enemies in the spirit of Serious Sam. The appearance of the inhabitants of Hell and its suburbs fits into the conventional framework of gothic novels and thrash horror movies: axe-wielding cultist monks, sword-waving Sardaukars, ninjas spitting paper balls, cute dogs floating in a fire vortex, and a couple dozen more such types. A specialty, sly skeletons, covering their fragile bones with the carcasses of their younger brothers. They look great, textured for 5, and have no brains, as it should be. That is, they usually move strictly in a straight line, sometimes including a tiny iron running away from the line of fire. However, not far away. The process of passing is simple to the point of indecency and reminds, not to be mentioned at night, Devil May Cry and Chaos Legion. You enter a room, let's call it a certain space limited by walls or doors, torture 3 dozen freaks to death, open doors to other rooms, follow the rails further. It would seem primitive, but meat and physics work wonders. Killing of nasty polygon clusters is put in Painkiller on a wide foot, ragdoll model, as well as all other physics from Havoc 2.0, screwed to the game masterfully, so that Max Payne 2 and DMH can only envy. Only lazy people didn't tell about Calamite, Aspen logs from which pin zombies and other evil things to the walls not worse than pins of Maniac and Emologist, in their reviews. But the stake is not the only one. Other types of weapons, total number of 5, act no worse: throw away, split, tear to shreds. Mass slaughter turns into a feast of Newtonian mechanics, when the corpses one after another fly apart, waving their limbs and correctly reacting to obstacles. In addition to enemies, ambient objects get under the crush, random walls do not fly away, not geomod, but vases, chests and other junk quite adequately react to the shooting. Were you disappointed to learn of your modest arsenal? and for nothing. For every gun has an alternative firing mode, and almost every gun has a combo. A grenade, fired from under the collimat, with the proper skill can sit on a stake, fired a second later, and turn into a medieval analog of a rocket. The spinning chainsaw of the unit, combined with an alternative shot, goes on a trip in a straight line, turning squishy creatures into shreds. See our exclusive video. A combination of lightning and shuriken fires a sticky and powerful glowing substance that can kill powerful enemies almost instantly. The classic shotgun, supported by the freezer, is very helpful during big game attacks. Weapons switch instantly, thus opening up space for mocking the living and dead enemies. Rocket under your feet and then pin the flying body to the ceiling is one of the many local tricks. The number of enemies on the level is always strictly limited. And if you find a crowd of mutants and gas masks behind your back, you should know that this is the plan. Sooner or later the flow of annoying threats will run out. In any case, until the next checkpoint, which are scattered everywhere and 99% replace the function of saves, it is, however, present in all decent combinations, including both quick save and leisurely quick load. The last alien problem is solved devilishly simply. At the top of the screen is a compass, which points the player to the next target, an unkilled monster or a checkpoint. There's even an altimeter that indicates where to run next, up or down. Very handy. Need for Eat. When you kill monsters, souls, spheres, fall out of them after a few seconds, which in Park replace health kits and are also the only way to get a high called Demon Morph mode. If you are fast enough and collect any, even the most insignificant souls, then when you reach the coveted number 66 souls you automatically turn into a demon. The world loses its colors, dusk comes, and invulnerable Daniel tears the defenders of hell to pieces with easy mouse clicks. The distance and strength of monsters do not matter. Everyone dies. It's a pity that this euphoria doesn't last long. With special love we would like to go over many and simple bosses. If the first ones are just slightly fattened versions of ordinary creatures, then big bosses are really big bosses. The 10-story tall behemoths move swiftly and cause trouble for players until they find their Achilles heel. Each of the 4 generals is unique both in appearance and in the manner of resistance. The massacre of these beauties is a true feast for the old fighter against evil. Only Lucifer spoils the overall picture, despite the well-conceived procedure of his destruction. Screenshots do not convey even a tenth of the charm of these cute characters. Believe me, this is better to see live. Wishing I was there. Map design in Painkiller is unparalleled. This is where the author's lack of rigid plot frameworks came in handy. Garner jumps from the past to the future, from the future to the medieval entourage, and together with him the levels change, in the creation of which Poles put their heart and soul. With the exception of a couple of not quite successful samples, each map pleases the eye not only with the quality and resolution of textures, but also with the overall thoughtfulness and detail. Park is worth going through at least for the final level. Hell, even if the gameplay disgusts you, you will see with how much imagination you should approach the creation of locations. The engine of own production is successfully scaled and allows you to produce a good picture on weak computers with dead Force MX and great, on more decent shaders, though used in therapeutic doses, do their work on the waves on the water properly. Hard rock ambient. Everything that the player hears in Park, is made on a solid B+. Why so? The problem lies in the battle music. The clang and rattle of weapons, monsters' cries, ambient noise on all levels are excellent, but as soon as a scuffle breaks out, and they are here at every corner, monotonous metal comes into play. Your humble servant even under torture will not be able to reproduce at least one of such tracks from memory. But everything else does not cause any complaints. Excellent positioning of the sound in space and atmospheric sound effects help to get into the world of the game for short moments of lull. Go to Asylum or Hell level once, you'll get into it. On the other hand, the hard rock compositions don't spoil the mood, they are just too simple. But they keep you in the rhythm. Ta Rodney. The so-called black tarot cards have taken care of increasing the replayability of the game. The essence is as follows: on each level you are offered to fulfill a special condition. For example, to pass the stage without collecting souls. Or vice versa, collecting all the souls of killed enemies. Or do not use armor. Or kill only with stakes. Reward for diligence will be a gold or silver tarot card, which gives some bonus, increased health, time slowdown, 2, 4 or 8 times, increased damage, the ability to collect souls from afar, etc. Before starting the next level you can, having paid for the cards with labor coin, money falls out of corpses and chests, as well as hidden in hidden corners under the guise of jewels, insert it into your hand from the deck. Silver cards, no more than 2 at a time, are valid throughout the level. Gold cards, 3 at a time, are activated strictly by your order once per level. However, they do not work for long and only all at once, that is, there is no possibility to activate them one by one. However, such combos are even better for fighting the same bosses. Bullet time, Osvarin and improved bite defense, a true painkiller's dream. There are 24 cards in the game, exactly the number of levels. However, to open the trauma difficulty level, that's where the alternate ending is available, you need to collect 23, and this is possible only when you play the game on Nightmare. In other cases, some areas are blocked. So if you don't want to torment the game unnecessarily, start exactly with Nightmare. However, because of their relative slowness, it's a good time to remember the frantic kamikazes from Serious Sam with their shahid screams. The monsters won't scare you much. Unnecessary thingy. Multiplayer in Painkiller was made, if not on a quick hand, then certainly in free time from polishing the single. The limited number of tiny, obviously dueling maps looks sluggish compared to 2004. The multiplayer part is not saved neither by the funny modes Vosh. All players run with the same type of weapon, which periodically changes, and people can fly. You can kill your opponents only when they are in the air, nor by the arcade-like instant change of weapons, nor by the familiar rocket jumps from Quake. Too modest by the standards of 2004. However, until the release of the localized version from Akela, most Russian players' Pain Multikiller is not threatened at all, because the left releases will not connect to the company servers anyway. So, back to mainstream. Keep on killing. In general, stable game sometimes behaves strangely. The compass suddenly stops working as it should, or some script forgets to work, which does not allow to pass the game further. This is especially true for the level Old Monastery. Questions about stalling on which are raised in almost every topic dedicated to Park in the World forums. Usually the problem is solved by rolling back a few checkpoints, at most, restarting the level. A small thing, but if you don't know about the solution, quite unpleasant. The typical subjective drawbacks include some monotony of the gameplay. No, you don't want to quit the game in the middle, but I don't recommend people with a delicate mental organization to go through more than one episode per evening, otherwise the impressions will be blurred. The lack of motivation also contributes. A couple lines of accompanying text per level would have been enough. I would like to see official support for mods and editor, however, according to intelligence, it will appear after the release of patch v1.1. And also, everything. In general, everything. If you don't like stupid meat shooters, you will still spit from Park, no matter how beautiful in its environment it is. But this game is a true masterpiece in its genre. Sam's, Will's, and other old transition junk sleep peacefully in a dusty corner. And it's not a fact that Croats will be able to make their Serious Sam 2 better. Although, time will tell. Dixie.